Welcome everybody and welcome to Basic Build. Now, last time this was the little picture that I showed you and I said we're going to build the whole lot, which we are. And we're going to break it up into sections. And start off with the first section we're going to be building is this piece here. But I'm going to do it without the base. For the simple reason is that gives you then a chance to actually put it onto what base you want and how you want it. And also we're going to build it with options built in, so you don't have to do this bit or that bit. You can pick and choose how you actually want to build it. So with that, let's get on and get this started. Okay, we'll start with the basics. Now what we need to do is we need to make some wall sections. So I'm going to keep them all the same size, i.e. the size of the stretcher bond molds, so we don't have to do no cutting or anything like that. And the first thing we need to do is assemble some wall sections up. And hopefully this will be the only bit of gluing you'll see on this video, because the gluing does take up a lot of the time. So we'll just quickly run through this. Now what I'm doing, I'm assembling these are the piers that actually you make in with the mold. So what we're doing here is we're just going to make a wall section, which is very simple to do. You don't need to put these onto any jig or use straight edge because they're very well manufactured. Well, the molds are very well made, and as long as you haven't pulled them and tugged them about, everything should fit perfectly. So there's the second end. Just run a bit of glue down there, and we'll finish off on there. Hopefully when you do it you'll put a bit more glue in than what I'm doing, but I'm just demonstrating to you what you have to do to kick off with. Right, and then we put the second half of this on. Now you'll find that, like I say, you don't need to do anything but push them together and just check that they're square. It's as simple as that. Now you need to make up 5 of these, and I ain't going to bore you to death by sitting here and going through all 5. So I'm going to put you on pause and I'm going to assemble 5 of these. Okay, I've put all the brick sections together and I've given them time to dry, and we're just going to do this. I'm going to try and do it like a little kit. So if we use one to start off with as a back wall, then one wall that actually comes out, which is that one at the back there, and then another back wall and another wall that comes out without knocking it over and smashing it, and the final back wall. These will all be glued together, but this gives us our base for the actual little farmyard. Well, I don't know what they call it really. I would call it a workshop. We're just going to call it a workshop. So that's our base. Very easy to do, very straightforward, and we've got a lot built. But now we need to actually raise this up so we can actually get the pitch of the roof on here, which is very easy to do. It's going to be done exactly the same way as we've built these, except we just need to cut them down a bit. So I should put you on pause and we'll just run through cutting them and assembling them. Okay, now if we look on this little picture here, the main roof is actually higher than the 2 side walls, so we're going to need to raise the back walls up this side and this side by 4 courses and the main roof by 8 courses, and it's very easily done. Now we'll just do the 2 end ones first. Is very simply done once I find my scalpel, and there it is. If we just count down 4 courses, 1, 2, 3, 4, give it a couple of scores. I use the edge of my roofing square, press down and that will break nicely. So we need to cut another one of those, exactly the same. You can cut both of them. I'm just going to cut the one side, and exactly the same, break that, and then we've got our two pieces. Now you can actually just run down because they will all interlock. Then what we need is, which I haven't got, very remiss of me, we need some ends, and very simple, just measure up 4 and these will just break off in your fingers like that. And it's the same this end, measure up 4 and just break them off. Well, I broke 5 off there. There we go, 4. Then we just simply glue them together exactly the same as what we've done there. Now I'm going to glue these two, well, I'm going to glue the two pieces together, and then I shall come back to you. Okay, I've glued these two pieces together. They've had time to dry, and just with a sanding stick or a piece of flat paper, sandpaper on a flat surface, just rub them over just to make sure they're level. Now these two pieces, one will be glued that side and one will be glued that side. Now that is going to give us our height for either side. Now the center one, we need to do 8 courses, and it is done exactly the same way, no different. We just count up 8 courses, do exactly the same. We cut it and then we break it off like so, 2 of them, and we build another section exactly the same as that to go into there. So I'm going to get on with that and I shall be back with you in a second. Right, that is the back piece done. That is 8 courses, and that will stand on that piece in the center like so. Now the next thing is we've got to do the pitch of the roof, which is very easy. Now if we count up 8 courses, which I haven't got a pencil or anything to mark with. Yes, I have. I've got one there. So if we count up 8 courses, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's our 8th course there. And we count up 1, 2, 3, 4 courses to there. And then with a ruler, between them 2 points, if we draw a line like so, that will actually give us, if you can see that, that will actually give us the pitch of the roof. Now we do exactly the same. We cut one for that side and then we reverse it round and do one for that side. And exactly the same as what we've done there is piece each end, glue it in, so we've got 2 pieces, one for that side and one for that side. So I'm going to get on and get them done, and I shall be back with you in a few seconds. Okay, I've cut both pieces, and in the process of cutting this piece I broke it in half. So all I've done is I've glued a piece in between and glued it all together, and that will keep it nice and rigid, so you don't have to worry if you break them when you're actually cutting them. So we have one piece to go this side like so, one piece to go in there like so, and now we have actually, if I bring the camera down, now we have actually got our roof line for both sides, and we've got the 2 different levels. Now the next process is that we're going to glue all these together, and we are going to need to lay these down flat on the bench. So I'll put you on pause and we'll just roughly run through how I'm going to glue them together and keep them all nice and flat. Okay, back with my bench, back with my T-square, and all I'm going to do is literally just put some glue on, lay them down flat and let them then dry. Now make sure you put plenty of glue on all the way. I did promise you I wouldn't do much gluing on this video, but I'm lying, am I? Plenty of glue down. Use your straight edge to keep everything nice and square, and literally just press them together. You can put a bit of a weight against it. I normally use my T-square. Make sure it's all nice and flat, then leave it to dry. That's it. Now I'm going to go through the process of gluing all the pieces to the tops, and then once they're dry I will be back to you and we can move on to the next bit. Okay, now these sections are dry, and what I'm going to do now, as it's getting very close to my bedtime, I'm going to give these a coat of PVA. And the reason I'm going to give it a coat of PVA is because we're going to grout them up before we assemble it all. It's just going to make life a little bit easier come to the end. All I've got here is a 50-50 mix of PVA and water, nothing too special, and all we're going to do is give it a good coat all over, ready to do the grouting tomorrow. So I'm going to get on with that, and I'll see you in a little while. Right, these are all nice and dry, and grout them up. All we're going to be using, I've got a good heat teaspoonful of decorators filler, just bulk standard decorators filler, and all we're going to do is we're going to mix it up into a sort of brushable paste. Actually, that is a little bit too thin. I don't know. So we've got sort of, it's almost a brushable paste, and all we're going to do is simply paste it on to our brickwork, like so. All over. I'm not going to bore you with running through all of them, but you get the idea. Yeah, you'll find as you're going along, it actually starts taking it off the brickwork. But once it's dry, you just rub it off, and we've got nicely grouted brick sections. Now, I'm going to get on with that, and I'm going to get them all done. And when they're ready to dry, I should show you. Well, when they're dry, I'll show you the next step. Okay, now as it's drying, if you actually get your bit of cloth, and we just start cleaning off the excess, like so, all over. Like that. Now we can darken that down a little bit when we come to weathering, but we've got it all grouted up. So I'm going to get these done. It's simple as that. I'll be back in a little while. Right, now the grouting up has dried, and I really want to knock that colour back a little bit just to make it slightly darker. And all I'm going to be using, I've got my wash, 75% thinners and 25% of paint. It's a very, very thin black wash, and all we're going to do is knock that colour back. Just give it a coat of the wash, like so. Just do one, and knock that brickwork back. Now it looks quite dark now, but when it dries out like that. It dries out quite sort of patchy as brickwork does. So I'm just going to give the rest of these a coat, and then I shall be back with you in a short while. Now, like I say, it's all had a coat of the black wash, and with a few simple steps we've got that old looking brickwork. Very easy, very simple to do. Now we can elaborate a little bit more later on when we get the whole build finished, and we can weather in and make it even more realistic, should I say. We've done that bit now. Now what we're going to turn the attention to, I'm actually going to put a brick floor in this part here. So we'll get set up and we'll get on with that bit. Okay, before I fit the floor, before I go any further, what I want to do is get this section here glued up, and I'm just going to use my roofing square, use that bottom section there, and I'm just going to glue them all together to hold into place. So I'm going to get on with that, and back with you in a minute. Right, back with you again. Now that's had a good time to dry, so I shall pull that wall section out the bottom, and we have our middle piece all done, ready. Now we're going to need to make a floor for it. I'm going to make it very, very simple. It's because it's a brick panel wide, we're going to use a brick panel, and all I'm going to do is get myself some of these corners like so, and I'm just going to glue one on that end and one on that end so it fills these teeth in. Just cut that off, and then we'll have a floor section complete, and then we can glue that straight in. So I'm going to do one full one, and also one, I think it works out 6 courses. 6 courses, another bit. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 courses. So I'll cut 6 courses off this one and do exactly the same. Just glue the ends in, leave it to dry, and then I should come back to you. Right, these are my 2 floor sections, one of 6, and you can see what I've done. I've just glued pieces in the end, and hopefully with a pair of snips we should be able to just snip that off flush, that end off flush as well. Then with a sanding stick, I can get one, just sand them ends flush, and now we've got our completed floor section. Now I'm going to do this on this one, just trim all that up, and then we're going to put it into the floor and glue it in. So I'm going to get on with that, and I shall be back with you in a second. Right, now I've taken the teeth off this floor plate. I know I've lost one as well. Just cut them off, sanded them down flat, no problems at all. Laws of averages say that should fit in there nicely, which it does. And then the 6 courses in front of that. Now I'm going to get on and get that glued in. So that's our floor done, and I'm also going to glue these side pieces on as well. When I've done that, I shall come back to you. Well, I've glued the floor in, the 2 sides, everything is now glued together, nice and stable. We're going to put that to one side and take a little look at the drawing. Now the next bit is we've got to create this little outhouse that's on the side. So we'll get set up and we'll get to make this little outbuilding. And if you hear noises behind the back of me, it's my fans going because it is rather warm in the shed today. So back to this. What we need to do is get 2 full brick sections and mark in 3 bricks in and cut it all the way down into 2 segments, like so. I'm doing this just to save a bit of time cutting in that. And then what we need to do is to assemble this up into a corner. And I did promise you not too much gluing. I'm not keeping my word, but we're going to assemble this up into a corner very quickly, as quickly as I can go. So I'll go for that one. So we're going to assemble that up into a corner when he gets it in there. And we're just going to leave that to dry on my little jig. And we'll come back to that in a very few seconds. Okay, the corner has dried. It's been sat there for quite a while actually. Now what we need to do is, we've already cut two sections up. This back section is going to back this wall up. Now we also need to cut 4 courses of bricks from any piece of scrap material you've got. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're just going to cut 4 courses there. And he snaps it in half. Oh well, there's 4 courses there. That'll do the job. So what we need to do now is we need to raise this up to get the pitch for the roof, and the roof hasn't got a great deal of pitch, so it doesn't matter. You don't have to be 100% accurate with this, because we're going to be actually cutting from that point there to that point there, so we're going to be chopping a lot of this off. So what we're going to do now is we're going to glue that piece together with my glue that's gone off and my paintbrush that's gone a bit hard. So we're going to put a bit of glue on there. Like so. And that piece is going to go in there. And the 4 courses is going to go on the top there. Like so. Well, we'll do it right back there, but in line with that. And then we're just going to squeeze all that together, make sure it's all nice and tight. And the same with this bottom bit. Put some more glue on there, and there you go. I do have a piece of 4 courses there. And we're going to glue that to the bottom. And then we're going to leave that to dry. We need to cut. Well, might as well do that while we're here. And we also need to back up on the inside, so we need to cut that bit back. We'll just mark that up. Just run the scalpel down it, and hopefully we can break that off, like so. And we'll glue that piece into there, and that's actually done all our interior as well. So we'll just put a bit of glue on there. And we'll just fix that in like that. So that is our actual corner. Now we're going to leave that to dry, and I shall be back in a few seconds. We'll trim it up and then we'll get that fixed. Okay, I've given it a little bit of time to dry, and we're just going to trim this up now so everything's nice and square. Get rid of that bit first, and it breaks right into the wall. repair job. So we'll just take them off. And that piece there, and he's done it again. So we'll put that piece back in, like so. Let's see if we can just break that. He's not broken it, but we've got the technology to fix it. We'll put that piece back in there, and I've done the same on the inside. So we'll do the same. We'll just break that off. Put some glue in there. That's what I love about this stuff. It doesn't matter if you do break it, you can repair it, and you don't even see the join. Right, I'm going to have to leave that to dry for a few minutes, and then we'll go on to cutting this piece across here. And I'm afraid to say we're going to have to do this with a saw of some shape or just size or description, because it is too delicate to break. So we'll be back in a minute when this dries off, and we'll mark this up and get this bit sorted. Okay, now I have just trimmed up them bits that were sticking out, sanded them down so they're not sticking out no more. And what we need to do now is do the pitch of the roof. Now I did put it up in 4 courses, brought it up level, so we really need to go a course down. So if we marked a course down, 3 courses altogether up from the piece that we put on to the top of this wall here. So that's 1 course down and to the top of the wall. Just draw a line across. That gives us the pitch of the roof. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. And all you need to do now is cut it. Now I'm going to be cutting it with my little Tamiya saw. I should do it off camera because I'm not in the right position here to do it. I need it up to the end of the bench. So I'm going to get on and just cut that off, and I shall be back in a second. Okay, I've cut this piece, as you can see. I've cut the angle, and I've cut it just about, well, it is 1 course below the level there. Now that's going to make our little outbuilding. Now I'm going to put a floor into mine. You don't have to put a floor into yours. You can leave it as it is, make yourself a door frame and door, and you can do that to whatever size you want. But all I've done here, I've just cut a piece of the brick, I've forgotten what they call it now, a brick section. There you go, you see. Just cut a piece of the brick section. I've allowed 5 bricks for the opening. That is for a door and door frame. And rebaited it just a little tiny bit so it sits in. That will sit into that corner, and I will be gluing that in a very few seconds. And that's going to give me rough floor for that little building. Going up to the other end, I'm going to have to turn this. Going up to the other end, we need to do the same on this piece here, because it's actually got a little roof that sits over here, and I'm going to put a little floor in just so it's you know, it's got something to sit on, because there will be a timber sat there supporting the roof. So I'm putting a little bit of flooring. It's totally up to you how you do it. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8 bricks wide, and it's a full brick section high. So that's just going to go into there, which I'm going to get glued in. I'm going to glue that end in as well. So that's all finished. And once I get them all glued in, I'll be back and we'll go on to the next bit. Now I've glued the floors in, they're all done, and this little end wall now is in and glued. That will be taking our door a bit later on. Now we're going to be moving on now because all the ground floor is done. The basic build at the bottom is done, and now we're going to move on to the actual roof. But we're not going to do it in this video because this video is into well over half an hour, and it's quite good that I finished all the bottom because it just leaves it in two different segments. So in the next video we're going to be moving on to actually making the roof all the roof trusses and different options on actually doing the roof. There's going to be one of making some corrugated iron that we can actually use on it, or we'll be using the beaver-tailed tiles, which are a very small little tile, very similar to what's on the actual picture when I get it in, very similar to what's on the roof now. So that's going to be in the next video. So thank you very much for joining me, and hopefully we'll see you on the roof one.